Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tarot Today. I'm Sonam, and I'm here with.
Adrien, welcome everyone. We hope you're doing well today. And this is, what is this? Our fourth episode.
I know we're flying, aren't we?
Tarot today. Yes, how fun this is. A lot of fun indeed. So today we decided that we need to tackle a subject, which is tarot versus oracle cards, right?
Yes.
These are two very different things, you know. First of all, have you ever had somebody show up at your classes with an oracle deck instead of a tarot deck?
Okay. Luckily, nobody has ever just shown up with an oracle deck. Like, I mean, sometimes I get people with, like, I mean, as you've mentioned, like cat tarot or something. But it's like, I mean, I've never had somebody just show up with an oracle deck, luckily. What about you?
No, never, never. And I think I give very definitive guidelines of what decks people need to have for the class. So no, I never had that. But then let's talk about the difference. First of all, the difference between a tarot deck and an oracle deck. What is the main difference for you?
Yeah, like I mean, so the anatomy of a tarot deck, like I mean, a tarot deck is like it's a very specific system that's set out in a very specific way, right? It's like I mean, we have 22 major arcana, and then we have the 56 minor arcana, and the minor arcana is split into four different suits, and it has a very systematic process to it, doesn't it? Whereas oracle cards, like I mean, they're very free flow, and like depending on which deck you pick up, they're all going to be structured quite differently. So like I mean, tarot is this pre-existing system, but it's like with an oracle deck, we're sort of at the mercy of the author.
Absolutely, absolutely. The anatomy is how you can tell if it's a tarot or an oracle, right? 78 cards, that number screams tarot, right? Now, you do have some modern tarot authors that sometimes add a couple of cards in
Yeah.
there. Or
Ooh, can I actually mention one that I really like that adds a couple of cards?
which one?
Pagan Otherworlds.
Oh, I love Pagan
Pa
Otherworld's deck.
Pagan Otherworlds is great, and basically, so for those that don't know what Adrian and I are talking about, basically, Pagan Otherworld is a wonderful deck, and they add, I think, five extra cards, and it's different moon phases. And actually, I just think that's really intuitive. It really works with my reading style.
Yeah, I think there's actually six card of the moon
Ah, you're right.
phases,
You're
and
right.
there's also a card of the seeker in there.
Ah, yes, yes. Okay, you're right. I forgot about the Seeker. You're right.
Yeah, it's a beautiful deck, pagan or the world. I mean, they're not paying us for us to say this. Well, we just genuinely love this deck. I think it's absolutely beautiful. It's beautifully made. I really highly recommend it. So sometimes some tower decks might add a couple of cards in there for a specific reason, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
So a tarot deck would be in general 78 cards, 22 majors, 56 minor. This is the anatomy of a tarot. Now,
Yep.
even if we have different themes on the tarot deck, such as, it could be a Celtic tarot, it could be a lover's tarot, it could be, whatever. The anatomy should still be the same,
Yeah.
78 cards, right?
Yep. And these are 78 cards that are rooted in archetypes, as we've already spoken about in a previous episode, and symbolic patterns, right? And in the tarot, each card has a defined role. It has a spectrum of meaning, and there is a specific relationship that these cards will have to the other cards. And I think that the key is that, tarot is a system. And with oracle cards, they're free form. There is no system, right?
Yeah, I would only half agree with you on this because
Okay.
I think the tarot is a system, absolutely, and it's a system. And even though there's different types of system within the tarot, um, um, it is something which can work universally, right? If I give you a tarot deck you've never seen before, you still be able to use it, right? Because you'll understand the meaning of the suits, you understand the meaning of the majors, and so on. Um, but I think a good oracle deck would have a system in itself, but these systems are not necessarily easily transferable because the author would have a particular a particular system that he would have put in place for this particular deck that they created, right? So even though the skills, even though the tarot, even though they might have a very different theme to them, uh, it is still a tarot deck, and the anatomy is the same, and therefore it is easily transferable. And what you can see is that maybe the author would have a different take on the Six of Sword, for instance, and that would be interesting because that would add to your vocabulary, to your knowledge of that particular card, to see somebody else's opinion. But good oracle decks would have a system in themselves, but you have to study that particular system. And is there any oracle decks that you use beside Tau?
I mean, there's a couple, and I mean, I suppose like Lenormand isn't actually an oracle deck. Like a Lenormand is something, entirely separate on its own. Um, and then there are like a couple of oracle decks that I use, but they're not necessarily for divination. They're more for personal reflection. Like for example, I have the Isis goddess oracle. And basically, whenever I'm needing to kind of go into meditation, like I'll just pull one of these cards and like I just find that, there's usually like a little prayer, usually a little meditation, and there's usually some kind of visualization that I can use as an anchor to take me deeper.
Hmm. Interesting.
So what
Yes.
about you?
I so I I do have oracle decks that I use, and the two main oracles that I use, one is very famous in France, right? It's called Oracle de Béline, Oracle of Béline, and it's been around for a long time, right? And it's in this little black box, and it's an oracle which is based on the planet. It's an astrological oracle, so you have presentation
Oh,
really good. It's very
okay.
famous in France. And you have the seven planets, and you have a certain amount of cards per planet, right? And it's very popular. It's very good for divination. It's very good for mundane divination. You don't have the same
Oh,
type of archetypes that you would have with the tarot. And that is a very popular and very beautiful little deck. And so depending on the planets, the sun would give you a a certain energy, and of course Mars will give you another energy, and Mercury and Saturn and so on, right? So this is a very famous deck, which I think was created, around 1845, and it's still very popular in France. And the other thing I use a lot is cartomancy. I read with playing cards, and I think I like using the playing cards because I don't know, there's a different charm to them than tarot. There's a simplicity in the way they look, and that really attracts me. I really enjoy it.
I think that's so interesting, and I love that about you because it's like we both clearly are attracted to kind of like different decks. It's like for me, I almost like need to see a Rider Waite-esque card in order for me to just have my process start working. And so
Yeah.
I love that for you. It's about the simplicity because for me, it's about the intricacy.
Yeah, yeah, because the simplicity would helps my mind tap into my own intuition, the simplicity of the card, right? If it's very intricate, then it tells me the story already. I don't have to work for it, in a sense. And yeah, I really like that. So the Beline Oracle is something that I love using. The other oracles that I use are the Seasons of the Witch Oracle. Now, there are 8 decks, right? And for each season, you get a different deck. And so they're not so much about fortune telling, they're very good about helping you connect to to the season itself. I have in front of me, I have the Samhain Oracle right here.
Ooh.
It's the first one that was in my drawer, and I pulled it, and I love these cards because first of all, they're really well made. They're very beautiful, and they have like gilded edge. So I'm a sucker for that. I think I love I love a gilded edge, and they really help you connect with the season. They give you a little, sometimes there's a little spell in there, there's a little reflection, there's always something that helps you understand the season because I live in Vienna. This is a big city. I mean, it's not as big as London, but we both live in cities. And sometimes the seasons are, because of the busy lives, we we don't connect the way we would if we lived in the countryside, right? And we tend to overlook certain things sometimes. And this oracle, the Seasons of the Witch oracle, really helps me understand and really helps me connect to the season of the moment. And I really like that, and it's very matter of fact, it's for example, the first card that I have in front of me here in the Seasons of the Witch Samhain Oracle is about greet the darkness, and it's going to invite you to accept the darkness that's coming at this time of the year, and they will have a little explanation into why it's important to do so, and so on. So this oracle, I really enjoy this oracle because it's not trying to be a tarot deck. You see? And I think this is when they are very powerful, is that when oracles have a strong identity and they have a strong system of themselves, then they are, in my opinion, for what it's worth, they're worth using and instead of a tarot deck. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I mean, I do agree with you. Like, and actually, maybe you're inspiring me to use Oracle decks more. It's like I know that I also have another Oracle deck from Kim Krans, and it's called the Archetypes Tarot, or
Mhm.
not Archetypes Tarot, sorry, Archetypes Oracle deck. And that one is actually quite powerful. It's really really amazing, and the cards are circular. But yeah, I mean, I suppose that tarot can kind of tell us what's unfolding, but then an Oracle deck can tell us, I suppose, how to hold it.
Yeah, it definitely. I think it can definitely do that. One thing I don't like though is to mix different decks within a reading. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah, and one thing that I took away from Lenormand, so it's like I'm not an expert with Lenormand, and for those of you that don't know what Lenormand is, it's a French 36 card. Is it
Actually,
French?
actually, I think it comes from Germany historically.
Well, I think in Germany it's the Kipper, right?
That's a different one.
Okay,
I think it took the name of Madame Lenormand, but it has nothing to do with Mademoiselle Lenormand. But it originally comes from Germany, and it really became very popular in France, and absolutely. But yeah, it's let's say Germanic Franco
okay, you
oracle.
clearly I love this. Okay, I'm really glad that you know your history because like I just pick up the cards and I just put them on my desk and I just go, right? Like I'm just asking all sorts of things with Lenormand. And Lenormand, here's what I found about it. Here's what I liked and here's what I didn't like. I thought that it just felt a little thin, right? It just feels a little thin. Like, I mean, it doesn't really give you that much information. But what I did really like about it that I still sometimes do with my tarot deck is I love I love that it's about cards and the way that those cards come out. So where they're positioned within a spread. I
Mhm.
think that that's very interesting to kind of like read on these like diagonal or horizontal or vertical lines. And so I think that that's very powerful. But I think that's really the only thing that I took away from Lenormand.
Yes, and I would agree with you because there's a lot of spreads that we use that are being used within the Lenormand that I actually use with tarot. like the square of nine.
Yeah, the square of nine is great.
There's also, so in the Lenormand, there is a spread which is called Le Grand Tableau, the big, I don't know what it's in English, but basically what you do is that you lay out every single card, but each card represents like a house, right? So each position has a specific meaning. And depending which card falls into that particular position, then you read it that way.
Yeah.
Then
So for example, what Adrian is saying is like, card number one is the rider. So it's like position one in the grand tableau would be the house of the rider. So then whatever card falls within that first house is informed by the energy of the rider. So it tells
exactly.
us what's moving.
Exactly. But what's interesting is that I mean I'm not a fan of Lenormand either. It's not a deck that I use. It's not a deck that I feel yeah, it just doesn't, it doesn't really grasp me. But Le Grand Tableau, you could and I'm gonna throw something here, I'm not sure if you know it, but you could use a Grand Tableau with the 22 major cards.
Sexy. Okay. I'll have to, I have not tried that. I've not tried that. It's really funny because I mean, superstitious isn't the right word, but I'm going to say that I'm superstitious about like divvying up my deck. Like, like I don't just read with the majors and I don't just read with the minors because oftentimes students ask me this question, like, oh, should I just read with the majors or should I just read with the minors? And really, at the end of the day, there's no just do this or just do that with tarot, right? Like, there's not really any fixed rules like that. I mean, there's one really talented reader that I went to one time that specifically only worked with the majors to open up the reading. And she just kind of like told me some headlines of, what was going on for me. And I suppose that could be one way to anchor it, but I never do that, right? Because inevitably, like, usually I always begin with the Celtic cross, and the Celtic cross, you'll always get at least one major. And so that will kind of, maybe inform where a person is at. And you don't necessarily need to, like I said, separate the majors from the minors. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting what you're saying because in the French tradition, it's very common to only read with the majors, you know.
The reader was French.
Oh, here you go. Yeah.
Yeah, the
And
reader is
so
French.
when you read only with the majors, you have to see the way the cards fall. Are they archetypal or are they precisely of a mundane meaning, which is what we saw in the previous episode, right? So reading only with the majors, I often read only with majors, right? And it works really well. But it is a very French tradition, right?
Hmm.
So when I teach the courses, I usually teach a major course and I teach a minor course, and then after we put everything together. So
Yep.
until we've gone through everything, I tell the students, no, only use the majors because that if you know you're only going to use the majors, you learn, your mind knows that you are using only the majors, and therefore the tarot will speak to you in that way. So it's yeah, the Grand Tableau with the major cards is something that give it a go. It's quite interesting because each position will inform something, and it works really well. It works really well.
That's actually really interesting because, yeah, like, I mean, in my majors and minors course, because I also separate them as well, I always tell people, I love that we're different in this capacity, but I always tell people, like, even if your minors show up, just make it up. Like, I mean, just look at the cards because, of course, like, I work with the Rider Waite, right? So it's a storytelling deck. So at the end of the day, it's like, I mean, try to understand what these minors are doing around the majors because I always tell my students, especially in the majors, that your majors will inform your minors, right? So it's like, I mean, so ultimately, it's like your minors are animating the majors, but interesting. But I'm going to try doing a reading with just the majors.
Yeah, so basically what we're saying is that you have to come to Delphine's class and my class.
Can't wait to see you there.
We both teach for Treadwell's bookshop in London, and Delphine teaches in store, and I teach online. So if you guys are ever interested in taking a tarot course, you can either contact us or look up Treadwell's bookshop online. But yeah. So yeah, so Oracle decks, they're quite interesting, but I think they don't they're quite different than tarot, and they do have different identity and different purposes, right? So if you're going to choose an oracle deck, try to do a little bit of research. What is the purpose behind that oracle deck? What is the vision of the artist? What do you think this oracle deck would be useful for? You know, for instance, my Seasons of the Witch, I pull, I use them just when the season turns, to help me connect with the season. My Beline Oracle, I do use it as well for very mundane questions. But it's true that my tarot is, 9.5 times out of 10, I reach for a tarot deck. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And if you guys are ever curious about like, the way that I use Oracle decks, which is more about like, meditation, Alana Fairchild has some really, really beautiful decks. Um,
What's her
yeah,
name
I mean, I
again? Sorry,
Alana Fairchild.
Alana Fairchild. Great.
Yeah, but again, hers are more like, meditation based, I would say. Um, but regardless, do you think we covered everything that we wanted to about Oracle?
I think we have. I think we have. What else can we? Oh, what about cartomancy? What about playing cards? Do you use playing cards?
No, I never use playing cards. I mean, I have like it's a party trick, right? Like, I mean, if I'm at a bar or something and somebody's like, "Oh, give me a reading," and to be fair, I never do that. I hate it when people ask me for readings while I'm out. But like if I'm just feeling like, yeah, just showing my chops or something, of course, like I'll do a quick reading with some playing cards. But yeah, but if I'm being honest, it's like, I like just a traditional tarot deck. I just, I'm a purist, I guess.
Yeah. So I see you shuffling your cards right now. Why don't you give us a message or a feel of the day or
Okay. So give us a collective reading for a feel of the day. Uh, that's a big card. Justice.
okay, good. What can you tell us?
Yeah, like I mean, justice is an interesting card, right? Because it's very impartial. I mean, it's about cause and effect, it's about actions having consequences, it's about integrity, and it's about things unfolding as they should, but it's also about balance. The thing that I love in the justice card, at least in the Rider Waite, is that, because people often ask, like, okay, how do you know right from wrong? And it's like, and really, it's like it's that purity that the figure is grounded in because she has that white shoe poking out, right? It's like,
Hmm.
I mean, ultimately, it's like, you know, coming from the right place and wanting to do the right thing. Also, justice is about allowing the events to unfold as they're meant to. I really believe that.
Hmm.
How would you interpret justice?
Justice for me, it's about fairness. So whatever you put in, you get out.
Hmm.
And justice, in the big spiritual lesson, for me, justice is about understanding your past and current behaviors. Where are your words and action anchored in? Are they really anchored in your soul's purpose, your own true will, or are they really anchored in past trauma or what society wanted you to do? So justice invites you to not be emotional, but to really judge yourself, judge oneself, so you can actually find cut out cut out whatever needs to be cut out. I was gonna say the BS. Uh, cut out whatever is not needed, so you can actually not repeat the same mistakes, right? So justice is really about, like you said, wanting to do the right thing. But what is the right thing? How do you describe the right thing? Where is the right thing anchored? Is it what your parents have taught you, or is this what you've actually discovered through your own experience? And I think justice in the Smith weight sits right at the middle of a 3 times 7 diagram, right? So it's in the middle line of the center of the diagram if you look at the
Yeah.
three rows of 7 cards. So I think justice um, pins the this diagram and helps the whole thing spin, right? So judgment of the self, true fair judgment of the self is essential for spiritual development, if that makes sense.
Yeah, completely. And I also think of it as the card of in like universal law, because I think that we talked about this once before, but it's like, is there any one objective truth?
Hmm.
And the answer is no, probably not. Everything is subjective because it's colored through our own experience, right? But at the end of the day, with justice, it's like, there is this impartiality.
Yeah.
There is kind of like this force from outside of you that's saying, like, I don't care if you were raised in a murder cult as a child. Murder is not the answer, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, there are these universal truths that we know within ourselves. And we do inherently, I think most of us, we do know right from wrong, regardless of what's conditioned. It's kind of like love is love, right? It's like, regardless of the fact of if you were conditioned in, a really religious, well, conservative religious upbringing, it's like at the end of the day, it's like, to tell people who they can and cannot love. I
Yeah.
think that's inherently wrong, right? And I think that if many of us interrogated that, we would agree. But maybe that's a hot take. That might be a hot take, but that's my perspective on it.
I mean, I do agree. I completely agree. And some people might disagree, but I do agree with you. Absolutely.
Well, I think that means I'm in good company. Thank you, Adrian.
Well, Delphine, thank you so much for today. Uh,
Yeah,
it was once more a lot of fun and very informative. And hopefully see you guys next week, same place, same time.
same place, same time. See you guys there.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye bye.